This is Dust 514 for the PlayStation 3, free-to-play game coming out later this year. What we see here is basically a 3D top-down map of the map we're about to deploy into. And here we see the different spawn points we can go and start the battle at. The game is quite strategic in a way that the way the spawn points load up can change over time. Both the enemy can capture them, but you can also call in different type of modules that basically change where the spawn points are. So here we're going to choose one and we're going to enter the fray. So what we see here is basically sort of an ambush map, as we call it, and see here sort of the graphics and the different things. Here we have sort of an assault gun, and the game actually has a lot of different modules to it. So not only can you choose sort of the typical classes as we know in shooters, but you can customize them a lot. So you can be a heavy with a sniper. You can be a fast runner with a grenade launcher. So you can do a lot of different customizations of your character, which allows you to sort of invent new roles in the battlefield. There we saw a heavy there, and this is more, okay, it's a good kill there. And there we saw sort of a suicide option. So you can basically enter like a bleed out state and you can be recovered by a support unit. And here we can sort of see the different sort of loadouts we've pre-created for E3. So just to give people a sense for the different options you can create for yourselves. But you can also create really sort of customized things through the marketplace in the game and through the fitting UI, which sort of draws inspiration from EVE Online, where you can basically manage your CPU and your power and have different type of drop shoot options to really create something custom. Now we're heavy and we're now calling in an LAV. Which is one of the options in the game. You can call in various things onto the map as the game progresses, and those are flown in with off-map support. So if you look up and see where the dropship is coming, then we can see there it comes. So it's being flown in, and then we can take a position there. So we have somebody shooting for us. So that guy jumped in there, and now we're driving along. And this is also a big piece of the game, is about the vehicular gameplay. And now we're basically in a sort of pre-match lobby. So while the match is being set up, players can walk around this lobby and do sort of socialization features. Also, what we see there, this is basically the view of the battlefield you're about to get into, and there you can basically sort of do a lot of planning around how you're going to run the match. One of the options in the game is that you can enter turrets and sort of fixed installation, which you can also sort of deploy. So again, the game can become very sort of tactical in the way you place these sort of fixed installations, which you can call in. And that allows you to sort of really add that sort of a tactical dimension and makes the maps quite different. Even though you're playing on the same map, it can feel differently based on where the different type of these type of installations are deployed. And they can be sort of quite determining of the outcome of the match. Here we're back running on the ground on this map, which is fairly sort of tight. This is one of our smaller maps, but sort of the bigger vision for the game is to take these type of maps and link them together on really big surfaces, where we have sort of 5K by 5K maps, which are comprised of these type of engagements. So you can have really sort of long-standing battles, which is the sort of conquest mode we will deploy later in the year. But here we have set up something sort of more tighter for E3, where you can sort of jump in and play in a fairly simple way. But that then escalates into the conquest mode, where you have to sort of conquer these type of maps to win the larger outcome, and that's basically revolves into sort of territory control into EVE Online, where you are basically fighting over the control of a planet. Now we're back at the map. We see the red area there. If you zoom out a bit, we can see basically the overall size of the map. So the maps are huge, and we're just sort of fended off a little play area there. Again, for E3 to be sort of quick and jump into, because we're super focused on providing like a really solid sort of instant gratification, jump in and play type of gameplay, because as we know, CCP is quite famous for getting the bigger stuff right, and we're here focusing on getting the sort of smaller moment-to-moment gameplay really tight. But then we have the sort of larger options of having the more complicated battle modes, which take way more inspiration for EVE Online than we're seeing here. We're really, again, trying to bring a solid sort of moment-to-moment gameplay where it is sort of relatively fast-paced and instant, because, again, that is one of the things people have given us feedback on EVE Online, that it takes a while to get into. So Dust is super focused on providing a familiar setting, jump in and play. The controls are what you know, and you can immediately go and sort of provide value onto the battlefield. But then the rabbit hole goes deeper and deeper. You start playing this sort of AAA shooter, and before you know it, you have a plane taken to Iceland, you're at FanFest, and you have a tattoo on your arm.
And one thing we didn't look at was the star map. If you walk up to the side of the table, you can actually check out the EVE star map a little closer, right? That little UI, and then it hits the circle. So, you know, everything in Dust is an actual location in the EVE universe, and so every game is actually in a real place. Here you can see these are all the different systems within the EVE universe, and we're actually up here in that space, and you can zoom in and actually pull out a little bit and actually go to that stain system right there, stain, and hit X, zoom out, and then actually hit X, and you can see the subsystems. Now go to that one and hit X again, and you can zoom in and see the actual solar systems, then zoom in and hit X again on that one, and you can actually see the planets. And now zoom in to this one down here, and you can actually zoom all the way into and see the actual planet that this battle is taking place on. So, and again, these are all actual real planets that exist in the EVE universe. They're real physical places there that that, you know, people can go to, as opposed to just being a disposable map that has no significance in the real world and, you know, broader gameplay. So you are on the attacking team. You only have one spawn point at the very beginning, so you can jump in and pick a drop suit. So the assault again is probably the best, easiest place to start. You know, can do everything. So once you drop in, one of the best things to do probably at this stage of the game is actually pull in a vehicle. You can pull in a tank by hitting right on the D-pad, and pulls up. These are your different drops vehicles. The second one down, HAV, is the heavy artillery vehicle, and that has now been ordered, and if you wait a second, it'll be brought to you to your current location. One thing you do have to watch out is that the drop ships will drop it on your head, and so you do need to make sure you get out of the way. Someone else in your team just pulled up a drop ship which can hold a fair number of people. I see the shadow. You better look up. Whoa, whoa! Wow, that was close. Okay, so. Now this is this tank. Actually, you can have 3 people on it, but head into the greater installation. This has got a pulse beam on it, so it actually requires holding down the button a little bit to charge it up, and there you go, and you can shoot things. And this is really meant to be an anti-vehicle tank as opposed to anti-infantry. And every tank and every vehicle in the game nice to actually do some damage. Every vehicle in the game is really a vehicle platform that is meant for extreme customization. So, for example, the tank has different turrets that you can put onto it, different weapons you can put on it, different armor, and then of course different looks as well. There's 4 different tanks depending on the race of what race you have picked. So yeah, so you can push forward. You're actually taking pretty severe damage from the turret installations which they have. And so the turrets, one of the first things you need to get done is actually to take out the enemy turrets. Those are unmanned turrets that will fire on the vehicles just automatically, or you can jump in them and take control of them yourself. The attacking force can actually come in and hack them and take them over and use the turrets to, they're going to have to take them over to get the vehicles in, but also you can use the turrets against the other turrets as well as the other team, of course. Yeah, so so this game does exist in the EVE universe, and the way that the one of the core mechanics of the games is actual real-time gameplay linkage between the 2 games. And so you're actually playing, we saw on the star map, this is actually a real planet in the EVE universe space. So this has meaning. It's a place where battles are going back and forth. And the reason that people are battling for the planets is that the planets have resources, as also as territorial control. So the more resources that corporations have in EVE and in Dust, and corporations are versions of clans or guilds, obviously the more resources you have, the better equipment you can buy, the better starships in EVE you can buy, and the better stuff you can equip your mercenaries with down on the ground. So we fully expect that the corporations of EVE and Dust will be working together to take over these planets. And in fact, there's actually a direct gameplay connection between the 2 games where, for example, you'll be playing right now, could have been coordinating with your EVE corporation, and a corporation can actually span both games, or you could be working with other corporations to come help you during the battle. And in EVE, they actually can fly their ships into orbit into this planet, as you saw on that star map. It actually exists in the PC MMO space, and provide support from space. And so you can come in and call in what's called an orbital bombardment. So for example, if you turn the corner here and you saw about 8 tanks lined up rolling into your city, you could call in an orbital bombardment in real time, which will send a message to the EVE player in his PC MMO to actually shoot into the game, and he will deliver, if he's appropriately equipped with his starship with orbital bombardment technology, he can actually instantly shoot and take out that entire battalion where you directed that bombardment. Vice versa, if you're on the ground and you're being harassed by EVE players up in space, there is an orbital artillery which can shoot back, and so it is, it is a two-way street in the sense, so that if you are going to risk bringing your ships into orbit to assist, you're also risk losing your ships to the troops on the ground. So we fully, like we said, we fully expect that players in EVE and in Dust to be working together to acquire planets, to take over territory, and build their corporations and their empires within the EVE universe. So there's turrets up on the left. You can actually jump in one real quick and take it over, and this is a good time to do that because those guys are spawning weapons nearby. Oh yeah. No. So that's actually another anti-vehicle thing, but it is fairly effective. It probably work best on a Jeep, but a tank will work as well. You're lucky because that guy looks like he doesn't really know what he's doing. He's probably on the show floor playing for the first time, and you're making his life miserable. That's what we do. So there's a drop ship. He still hasn't gotten it off the ground. You probably want to take out the tank before he plows into your territory. Oh, somebody just got killed. Nice work. Whoa! Somebody, that was quite unfortunate. So you had pulled up that real-time map. You can actually deploy turrets and different type of equipment into the map as well. Oh.
What's the button to pull up that map?
It's on the D-pad, down on the D-pad. Or one on the D-pad. There you go. So that you actually can't do it right now in the game, but you know, one part of the ability is for you can have a squad commander, which is actual designation in the game to oversees the you know, has a role in the game, and the squad commander can actually use that map to direct troops, and so he can put in, say, hey, go here, go there, and give them commands in real time, as well as deploy turrets and different type of equipment onto the battlefield in real time. So if you see a pretty tight situation, your team is being taken out or is hunkered down someplace, you can actually deploy in a quick instant turret right there to help them out. You guys are doing pretty well. It looks like they are not doing a very good job of taking over. You've only lost one spot at this moment.
Standing with your different factions and factions as well, so you get loyalty points to be able to spend on.
So now you're equipped as a heavy, which is the kind of a tank, heavily armored, not very fast as you can see, but can take a lot of damage and can deal a lot of damage with that heavy weapon. So those guys are kind of walking tanks. They can, if you're among a bunch of guys, assault troopers, you can kind of walk among them and take 2 or 3 of them out before they can get you.
What sort of range do I have on this gun?
This one is kind of what you expect, right? I mean, it's kind of a short to mid-range things, but once you get to any farther than about 100 yards, it's fairly ineffective. There you go. Now you can really rub it in their face and not let them have any of the installations.
And you said this begins like a 60-second takeover process?
Yeah, well, there's a transition. So when they're coming in, they're again the stories they're uploading a virus, which takes a while, and so there's a 60-second period where you can see the square, the UI kind of fills up, and that's the transition time from one to the other. And so during that period, it's more vulnerable to be reverted one way or the other more quickly. So for example, you had hacked it back, and now they hacked it back pretty quickly. If you had been able to sit there and defend it, they wouldn't have been able to convert it that quickly. They also have that turret right next to it. So, yeah, you can definitely see that these maps are extremely large. We carve out areas depending on what the game type is, what the how many players there are. So this is meant for an 8v8, about a 16 to 20 person gameplay. So we have announced up to 48 players. Wow, that was a dramatic death there. We've announced up to 48 players in a single match, so up to 24 versus 24. And obviously the space would be bigger depending on if you want more vehicles or if you want more of an urban map. We have some things that are more inside of an installation, so it's less space for driving vehicles, but a lot more kind of urban combat. So that's Dust 1514. The beta starts. The beta's been going since December, but we're actually opening up the beta to people later this month. So we have our first beta event on June 29th.